Hi, Maya. Thanks for joining me for a TEDx Luxembourg City Presents Coffee with Maya Hayuk.
Cheers with my black coffee to you, Luxembourg TEDx Talk. How's it going?
Very good, very good. Thank you very, very much for joining us. It's really I've been looking forward to this one. I've got to confess, because since I saw you on the TED stage, and in fact you were on the TED stage in Brussels, I've just been absolutely obsessed with your work, as has the entire team, as is my whole family. And so just having this coffee with you, we were really hoping to kind of get that behind the scenes glimpse. And from very shortly what I've already seen, clearly you must be in your studio.
I'm in my studio. Yeah, I'm super duper lucky. My studio, my painting studio is about 30 meters away from my apartment. It's an old industrial building, and I have a lease on it, and then I share it with a few other artists. But I have most of the space, and yeah, I spend a lot of time here.
Fantastic. So Maya, for those in Luxembourg that don't know you that well, or maybe are unfamiliar with your work, how would you and what you do? So you're based in the US right now, but you're over in the Benelux region quite a fair amount, aren't you? Do you want to talk a little bit about your work and what you do in Europe?
Sure, yeah. Well, let's see. I have always been traveling. My parents are, we're both professors, and we valued, as a family, we really valued traveling and learning different languages and understanding different cultures. And so I have always been drawing and painting, but also, I was playing piano and doing ballet and in the theater and all of those things that, uh, make for a good human, I guess, or something. So I'm incredibly, incredibly lucky that when I grew up, I knew that I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I just knew had a list of things I didn't want to do. And some of them are really simple. Like, I didn't want to work in an office, and I didn't want to have too much of a plan that was so impermeable to like having any kind of flexibility. I wanted to kind of have a life that might be some sort of adventure, and painting is that vehicle for me to have that adventure, because I'm in Europe a lot, where art is really celebrated and valued in ways that it isn't necessarily in other parts of the world, for a variety of reasons. But some new friends, we've been friends for a good 11 years now, but a gallery there called Alice Gallery, they took note of what I was doing, and we forged this incredible career for myself and for their gallery. And it's my second home. I mean, I would be on an airplane there right now if I could be. It would be a great place to be.
So Maya, how would you describe your work? I mean, clearly we can see behind you, it's wonderfully colorful. And how would you describe your work?
Wonderfully colorful as well. Well, most of what I feel like I'm doing when I'm painting is I'm working on puzzles. I really love Sudoku as like the most basic sort of example, where you have, hold on, I'll wait till you can't hear that, can you?
Not very much. No.
Oh, it's fine. Okay. So I do think of my paintings as wonderfully colorful, and most of my paintings start out with some kind of base, like CMYK, the way you would with a printer, an inkjet printer, let's say. And from there, I have just these series of games and puzzles that I play that sometimes have to do with, say, like using very wet paint. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah. And just sort of creating like a base of mushy color. And then from here, this panel right here, it might sit like this for a couple of years without my knowing what to do with it. But otherwise, or other times, I'll look at that and some form or something will sort of inform itself in terms of what I should be doing. And in that sense, when I talk about these things as games, they are games that I'm playing with myself, like Sudoku, you're challenging yourself. But one of the key things in collaborating, if you will, is that you're listening a lot. And I have to listen to what that wall or that painting or that object is sort of asking for. So it doesn't mean that at the end it's going to necessarily be good. It means that I will have gotten it to some point that I can walk away from it. And then I might come back to it like 3 years later. But so everything you're seeing right now, these are all, they're paintings, they're made out of paint technically, but they're really drawings. Like I didn't sketch things out beforehand to figure out what is going to go onto the painting itself.
A lot of your work is also not necessarily just on a canvas, right? Because you have a lot of work, which I guess some would classify as graffiti art, or how would you, because you do murals or?
Yeah, I paint a lot outside. I mean, I think that if you're a singer, you're not gonna, like, hopefully you're not gonna limit yourself to singing into a microphone that gets recorded onto a plastic disc or onto an MP3 for listening. Like, if you're a singer, you're gonna also sing in the shower. You're gonna sing, wow, I just came up with this metaphor. What? But and the same thing goes for me. Like, if there's a wall to be painted and I'm able to, I will. And if there is something that I see that should happen, hopefully I'm lucky enough to be able to do it. But I draw all the time with Sharpies and on white paper. I like at home. I'll show you. This is just to keep the hand, moving. Like, I'll have, I'll make stacks of like 20 of these at a time. I don't know how well you can see those, but then that's sort of like my warm-up scales. Let's say if I was playing the piano, those are little like warm-up scales. And then a lot of these types of paintings too, I don't know at what point they'll be finished. Some of them look really beautiful to me right now, but I like that feeling that, like, while I'm doing it, I have a huge potential to completely fail. And I know that's maybe sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but if I know it's okay and I know the formula and I know that I can finish it A, B, C, D, then it's just not as interesting of a drawing. Drawing is like what you're doing for the very, very, very first time. And that's what everything you're seeing around me is.
So considering your art is featured in so many physical locations, of course, this pandemic comes along and suddenly there's a lockdown. And so how has your life changed now since that happened?
Well, gosh, I think the most profound change since the pandemic is that I'm already a loner. I'm already somebody who self-isolates just due to the way this thing works. But to be told that I have to be alone and I have to avoid other people is really gut-wrenching. Like, it's like I don't even know how much more I'd be socializing necessarily right now, but just the fact that it's being imposed on me in this almost draconian manner, I'm like, so I find myself in here, and I have these days that are it can get really emotional, where I am painting because I am painting and that's what I do, but I hit these really hard walls. I guess, I don't know if it's just like an existential crisis or what, but there are many days that I leave from my studio and I'm exhausted and I'm covered in paint and I'm like, and so what? And big deal. and I painted. I took some wet plastic and I smeared it onto wood, and now it's dry plastic on wood. And it's really dark to go into that place emotionally, which is also ironic that there is so much sadness and anger and confusion and all the feelings that I'm feeling right now. But then this is what the output is, you know. And I'm listening to music, and the music really drives me on my headphones. And I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know if that, I mean, I'm saying that and I'm laughing, but I like that idea that I really don't know what I'm doing. And all I know is that it's better than not doing that. You know, I mean, there's my options for what I can be doing right now are really quite limited.
Well, if my confusion could result in something as beautiful as what you produce through these difficult times, that would really be remarkable. That would be a dream for me. If you don't mind, because you've been referring to a lot of your work, if you don't mind, would it be cheeky of me to ask if maybe you can take us for a little bit of a view around your studio?
Not cheeky at all. I'd be quite honored. Awesome. Well, hi. Okay, so I hope you can sort of see these. These are panels that I start with some kind of action, behavior, motion, just get things moving. Like, to me, I don't know how well you can see this, but to me in here, I already see sort of like the form of human, like it looks sort of like a woman crouching to me. It's probably not going to be that when I finish it, but these, let's see how to best do this. So these are based a lot on work that I think is familiar to a lot of people about the way I paint, which is crossing lines and quilting and weaving and embroidering with paint. And this is a great example of like why I call this a puzzle, is because I don't know what the next move is. You know, I don't know. And I like to sit with these long enough to know that, you know, like I like it where it is. And I take a lot of photos. And in the photos, sometimes I'll look back and I'm like, damn, I was done. I ruined it. And then I have these little occasions like up in here. Can you see that? Yeah, that guy up there. Like, I'm trying to avoid making faces, but it's natural that if you do things that have a lot of symmetry with them, they inherently wind up having something to do with like the human form. Like this little guy here. It's like, looks like a little monkey. Hello. But now I need it to not look like a monkey anymore. Or yeah, there's like another weird, like, it's sort of a flower. It's sort of a bug. It's sort of, I don't really know what's going on there. You'll hear me say that a lot. I really don't know what's going on there. This is something I've been painting for years and years and years. It's gone through so many different iterations and incarnations, and right now it's a plant that I keep forgetting to water the plants in my studio, and so it's sort of drooping and falling, but I like it where it is right now too. I don't know how much I'll change it. And yeah, and then I have these guys happening right now where they're following these forms of a vessel, like a woman's body as a vessel, and then anchors, which are sort of like male, the male version of a body is kind of an anchor, and then how those two sort of an ancora and an amphora, how those guys blend. This one's really weird. I left last night here just so confused by this thing because I can't help but see a face in it, you know, and it's a damn goofy one at that. And I watched The Joker the other night, or Joker, that movie, and like I can't help, it's weirdly ominous, and it's like creepily happy. And oh, ouch. So yeah, this little guy, I'm kind of really psyched on that little dude up there. Like a little, can you see? He's like a little cauliflower. Where is he? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, there we go. He's like a mushroom cloud cauliflower. And I'm like, one of the things that's, I guess, technically evident in the work is that I'm limiting my brush sizes to brushes that are this big. So it's like, what is that, 100 centimeters? No, I'm not. And then that's the main size painting brush that I've been using. And then some that are that big. And I keep it at that. So then when you get really, really close to where things should look really precise, they're not. They're just sort of like as good as that paintbrush can make it, which is, you know, I could make that look like it was cut vinyl if I wanted to, but if I was to do that, why not just like cut vinyl, right? So,
Because
so
you
here's, yeah.
typically use rollers as well, don't you? Especially when you're outside doing these murals. I mean, I've seen some of your work on video where you're going for it and painting these lines up.
Oh yeah. I like that. That's all done with rollers. It's from a couple years ago for a New Year's party we had in here. And at midnight, the black canvas that was covering this came down, and this was revealed, and it was under black light. But I love what rollers can do with these different kinds of textures and stuff that go over each other. And the rollers themselves, because they're like a 9-inch width or so, they are the stroke of the line. They're not, I'm not measuring things out. I'm not taping anything off. I'm not, and you know, all the power to people who do like to do that. But I excuse me, I prefer to kind of push what the roller itself can do. And then this is what translates so nicely onto interior and exterior wall spaces. But I've painted sort of different iterations of this where each, you know, stripe, you could say, is like 3 meters wide on a massive, massive building. So yeah, it like, had I mentioned that I was a house painter when I was a kid to you? Or
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that was one of my young people jobs, was learning how to paint houses well, interiors, exteriors. And the goal when you're doing that kind of work is to get it done as quickly as possible. So I got really good at like not having to put down the blue tape, but just like cutting in the line and stuff. And we learned very early on, like, what is wrong. Like you should never have a drip. You should never overwater the paint. You should, you know, like, so basically this way of painting is like literally an homage to everything that's wrong with using a roller. And I'd say the same thing for all the spray painting that I do, where it's like, people who do spray painting well and they're very serious about it, like, ooh, I am not, they aren't, there's not a love, there's some, you know, this is just like testing out colors or playing around with the, like, what the can or what the tip and stuff can do. But I would never call myself a graffiti writer because it is an insult to anyone who actually is. Yeah.
That's fabulous. Part of your style comes from that rebellion of being a house painter when you were young.
Definitely. And from letter forms, you know, like I really, really love, I love like what language and shapes and symbols and runes and hieroglyphics and things like that, how those translate visually, where, you know, there's that seminal one you saw from a couple of years ago that's everyone's favorite 4-letter word. but if you didn't know what those 4 letters were, it would still hopefully be a visually appealing painting. Like these paintings, they started out, each layer was a letter, like just an arbitrary letter, like this was an R, and then some other things happened, and this had an A in it, you know, and you know, I was playing around with the idea of like, what would happen if I did the whole alphabet? That probably wouldn't be a very good idea. And so these are like at a little standstill right now. In that regard.
That naturally draws the question: when do you ever feel like something's finished? I mean, is it just a feeling that you get? It's a point in time that you think, right, this is done, or?
Usually Alice in Brussels, she's really good at pulling the paintbrush out of my hand and being like, stop, no. And there are definitely things like, okay, like the wall piece over here, there's definitely a place where the pattern, you know, the framework of the pattern that I set up to do that with absolutely has a finishing spot. And anything before that looks like it's provisional, but not in that like sexy provisional way, just in a like, you pooped out. Like, these look lovely to me as they are, and I'll photograph them this way, but I'm really excited to keep working on them because there is, you know, I don't know what the chance factor is, but there is a chance that they will completely fail. I love where these things are right now though, because like I don't see any of them as necessarily being finished, but it's really, really fun to sit with them in this state of, I don't know, you know.
So speaking of things coming to an end, I know I only have you for a short period of time. Can I ask you, so with regards to the TED audience, they typically always want some kind of message, to walk away from a talk with some kind of message. Can I ask you, what message would you have for an audience that's watching this right now?
I have, well, I guess I've been thinking a lot about, well, can I show you something really quick first?
Oh, please, no, please.
This is the painting that was the basis of a screen printed poster or print that I made with my downstairs neighbor at Haven Press. And I collaborated with a group of artists, an international crew, beauty crew called One Up. And they have basically covered the world, and they write messages like one love and, you know, one up. And one of the messages that they have been spreading lately has been leave no one behind. And there's something really important about that to me, that there's a message behind, you know, something just not just being beautiful, but something that like has some kind of incredible impact. But to answer your question, I don't know. I feel like anything I could say right now would be like a super cliche. Do you ever do that? Where you're like, wake up on the right side of your bed, or I don't know. But I will say that painting for me is something that I would be doing whether or not there was a pandemic. If my physical capabilities exist, then I'll be painting. And I need a second to give you like a ba-dum-bums.
But that's not necessary. I mean,
I know, but I want people to feel happy. Well, I'll say that like the thing that I've been feeling, and I think I sort of touched on this before, and maybe this is sort of important. I feel really lucky, and I feel like a lot of that luck, people have told me, has to do with hard work. Yes, absolutely, but I feel lucky that I can actually see and acknowledge the things that I am capable of and that the world is capable of, because I think it's really, really easy to throw up your hands and say like, well, can't, I can't ride a bicycle because I have 3 legs. That was a terrible example. I don't have a great example, but I certainly like, you know, I didn't have a lot of these materials. I didn't know if I was going to be able to be productive during this time. I didn't know how long we'd be shut in. But a lot of these paintings behind me, they're old paintings that I pulled out, and I was like, ah, you're getting painted over because I need this piece of wood. But I feel like if there's one thing that I can give myself every day is just like a little bit of gratitude, because I'm scared, I'm freaked out, I'm lonely, I'm self-absorbed. I wonder if I'm a narcissist, but then I wonder if I'm a narcissist, would I wonder if I'm a narcissist or would I not wonder that at all? I am curious about like how my own brain can work things out. And I know that I have this like tiny little blip of time that I have here that I want to, I guess, enjoy as much as I possibly can. And I just don't really have time to do other things that take me away from this. Now I'm just rambling.
No,
Did
but
any of
I
that make
think
sense?
I think it's a beautiful message to, you know, at the end of the day, everything that we have is a gift. And as you said, it's a tiny blip in time. And to not beat yourself up and give yourself gratitude, and just to enjoy every day and the opportunities that we have. I think that's absolutely paramount. And it's something I feel like a lot of people are forgetting right now, while there's so much panic and while there's so much just distress going on around us. It's a difficult one. Maya, thank you very, very much for taking the time to show us around your studio. How wonderful. What's
Can
that?
you see that? It's a piece of paint I just scraped off while I was trying to like come up with the meaning of life. And then here's the other side. It's pretty killer. I like this side. Anyway, this is for you. I'll bring it to you.
Thank you very much. And we hope to see you in Luxembourg very, very soon.
Thank you so much for doing this and for having me. This is so great, and stay awesome over there and stay safe and believe the hype, you know, like really seriously. It's definitely a moment to believe the hype. Like we need to take care of each other, and we're about to learn a lot. Like, wow, this is going to be a really interesting new chapter. It already is, but I'm just glad that I'm just glad to be around for it.
It'll be really interesting when you're in Luxembourg. It'll be really interesting to talk about this in hindsight.
Ooh, I can't wait, hindsight. I love hindsight. I love it. Where I was like, oh, hindsight. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya. I look forward to talking to you soon and seeing you in Luxembourg soon.
Yay. Take care. Bye.
Bye.